There is something within you, something subtle, ancient, and infinitely steady, that stands stronger than the restless chatter of your mind. The mind is a magnificent tool. It can open doors, generate ideas, guide you through challenges, and help you build the life you want. But at the same time, the very same mind can become your greatest adversary, turning into a storm that distorts your peace, hijacks your attention, and convinces you that the present moment is never enough. You fought hard for every step you've taken. You endured setbacks. You stood up after disappointments. You persisted when quitting seemed easier. And now you have something you once wished for. Maybe it's not perfect, maybe it's not complete, but it is something you built, and you deserve to enjoy it. Yet enjoyment becomes impossible when the mind drifts into endless loops of what happened last week, or what might go wrong tomorrow. True enjoyment, real presence, happens only when your awareness lands exactly where your feet are right now. Not in the stories of yesterday, not in the projections of tomorrow, but here, right here. When you finally allow this realization to sink into the fabric of your everyday being, something within you begins to shift. The world outside hasn't changed, but the way you meet the world does. This shift is not loud or dramatic. It's subtle, quiet, like a soft rearranging of gears inside your inner mechanism. You begin to feel what presence really is, not as a concept, not as something mystical, but as a lived state. The truth is, the present moment has never abandoned you. You have never been outside it, you have never been anywhere else. But your awareness was often so absorbed in thought, layer upon layer of commentary, memory, projection, that the presence already inside you seemed hidden. If you gently peel away those layers, even for a moment, you suddenly discover a space within you that feels like home. You realize, I am here. I have always been here. Presence is not something to be added to your life. It is something to uncover. The world often tells you that fulfillment requires achieving, obtaining, accomplishing. The narrative of modern society says you must gather diplomas, secure positions, earn money, buy cars, build status, climb ladders. The message is always, you need. It's all about doing. But the realization you're beginning to touch is a very different approach. It doesn't demand that you do more. It doesn't ask you to pile new achievements on top of your identity. It simply invites you to see what is already there beneath the mental noise. This approach isn't about adding, it's about dissolving. Not about doing, it's about undoing. This is one of the reasons Eastern traditions have maintained their relevance across centuries. They offer not a replacement for modern knowledge, but a balance to it. You don't have to throw away anything you've learned in life. You don't have to abandon your education or your achievements. But expanding your perspective gives you the freedom to choose which approach helps you in any given moment. When you have both perspectives available, the doing and the undoing, the striving and the resting, the building and the releasing, you become adaptable. You gain freedom. If you never learned a skill, you can't use it. But if you learn everything you can, even if you don't need it right now, it may serve you one day. Knowledge is rarely wasted. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so the path you choose becomes one path among many. The way I speak about these concepts here on Master from Within is simply the way I have walked. Not the only way, not the superior way, just my way. A way that has shaped my understanding of life, discipline, energy, and presence. The practices I share, rooted in Shaolin tradition, have helped me carve out a life of clarity and meaning. They gave me structure, balance, inner strength, and a feeling of purpose. They taught me how to build a life I feel proud to live. But underneath all of it, beneath the physical training, the rituals, the discipline, it always comes back to the mind. The body becomes strong, flexible, and capable. The movements are powerful and sometimes beautiful to watch. But the true transformation happens inside, in the way you think, in the way you meet your emotions, in the way you choose your actions, in the way you respond instead of react. Shaolin culture includes everything: diet, sleep, movement, breathing, structure. It becomes a full ecosystem of life. And what I love about this path is the sense that the search finally ends. In a world where people mix yoga with bits of calisthenics, sprinkle in some dance, adopt random breathing methods, and collect practices like ingredients in a buffet, there's something grounding about a tradition that already contains everything you need. People think variety equals freedom, but true freedom comes from structure. Structure gives direction. Structure removes confusion. Structure frees you from impulses. You eat at 8:00. You train from 9:00 to 11:00. You wait until 1:00 to eat again. You don't snack in between. And your mind may resist this. It will say, "But I'm hungry. Why can't I go to the kitchen and grab something?" But this hunger isn't always physical. Often, it's the mind demanding comfort, demanding stimulation, demanding relief. But there is something inside you stronger than the mind, stronger than these impulses. And once you discover it, you realize that freedom is not following every desire that pops into your head. Freedom is not satisfying every craving the moment it appears. Real freedom is being able to say, "I am hungry, but I can wait. I choose to wait." This is freedom. Not freedom from schedule, but freedom from compulsion. Not freedom from discipline, but freedom from the mind's dictatorship. People misunderstand freedom. They think freedom is being able to do whatever you want whenever you want. But that kind of freedom often leads to chaos, temptation, and eventually suffering. If you let your impulses lead, they will drag you. And at some point, they will drag you into ruin. One example, relationships. You may walk past someone attractive and the mind whispers, "Go ahead, it's harmless." But freedom is not following every temptation. Freedom is choosing the path that avoids unnecessary suffering for you and for others. If you have a partner at home, honoring that bond means protecting not just your commitment but your clarity. Betrayal isn't just an act, it's a fragmentation of your inner world. A person who cannot resist temptation is not free. He is a slave, enslaved by his own desires. So when people say, "I'm free, I can do whatever I want," I ask, does that freedom lead to harmony? Or does it lead to pain? Freedom that destroys is not freedom. Freedom that builds, protects, and aligns, that is true freedom. Real freedom allows us to live together peacefully without controlling each other's lives. I don't need to impose my lifestyle on you. I don't need to tell you that your way is wrong and mine is right. That would not be freedom. That would be arrogance. None of us has the final answers to the universe. I certainly don't. The only thing I share here on Master from Within is what I have seen, lived, tested, practiced, and observed. If something I share helps you, I'm grateful. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's completely fine. The door isn't closed to you either way. By the time evening arrives, many people feel drained, exhausted, and mentally worn out, even if the day wasn't physically demanding. And the interesting thing is, the exhaustion often doesn't come from the body at all. It comes from the mind. A turbulent, overactive mind burns through your energy faster than any physical activity ever could. You can go to bed early, thinking you're doing the right thing. You can lie down under a warm blanket, close your eyes, and try to surrender to sleep. But if the mind is still spinning, rehashing the past, imagining the future, replaying conversations, you may sleep, yet you don't recover. You wake up tired. Your body rested, but your mind did not. Many people say, "I don't know why I'm still tired even after sleeping 8 hours." The reason might be simple. Their mind worked all night long. If once again you replay mistakes from last week. If once again you rehearse scenarios that haven't happened. If once again you judge yourself, compare yourself, or worry about the future. Then even as your body lies still, your energy drains like water through open fingers. The solution is not complicated, but it requires awareness. Learn to stop allowing the mind to dominate your evenings. Train the ability to gradually settle your thoughts, or at least slow them down before you go to sleep. The calmer your mind is before bedtime, the deeper your recovery will be. Sleep becomes restoration instead of escape. When you sleep, sleep. When you eat, eat. When you talk, talk. When you walk, walk. When you work, work. This sounds ridiculously simple, too simple, yet it's one of the hardest practices of our time. Because today, people work while thinking about what they want to eat for dinner. They eat while scrolling through their phones. They rest while worrying about tasks not yet done. They sleep while the brain continues rehearsing work meetings. The body is in one place, but the mind is everywhere else. This scattering of attention disrupts your energy system. It creates a sense of disconnection deep inside you. It produces stress even when nothing stressful is happening. When body and mind are not aligned, your actions lose power. Your presence weakens. Your sense of clarity deteriorates. Being present means living fully in the activity you are doing, without dragging the past or projecting the future into it. Presence is not spiritual poetry. Presence is alignment. When you sleep, if you truly sleep, your brain shifts into the natural rhythm of recovery. You don't need more hours, you need better quality. When I get 7 hours, I'm happy. That's a good night. 6 hours is workable, but it's the edge. I can push through a few days like that, but after a while, the body warns me. This is not sustainable. When the body is forced to operate without proper recovery, you start burning reserves that the body was not meant to use casually. You start spending life force itself, what some ancient traditions call essence. Once you begin tapping into essence for daily functioning, you shorten your life. Longevity drops, vitality weakens, mood darkens, motivation fades. You start feeling like you're walking through life with weights strapped to your ankles. This is why your energy level is not random. It depends on 3 pillars: diet, breath, lifestyle. And these 3 pillars are not abstract. They're practical, immediate, and measurable. If you want to improve your energy fast, today, tomorrow, and this week, the fastest way is through these 3 doors. 1. Diet. Food is the most direct form of energy we consume, but not all food is equal. Food can refill your energy or steal it from you. You know the difference immediately after eating something heavy, oily, or overly processed. You feel slow, foggy, sleepy. The body uses more energy digesting the food than it gains from it. Good food, however, gives you energy instead of taking it. It feeds your cells, nourishes your organs, and keeps your body light enough for the mind to stay clear. A good diet is not a luxury, it's fuel. 2. Breath. The breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. Your energy level depends on how you breathe, yet most people rarely think about it. Restricted, shallow breathing reduces oxygen, limits clarity, and increases tension. When your breath is free, deep, and relaxed, the mind becomes calmer, the heart steadier, the body stronger. Ancient practices spent thousands of years exploring breathing because they understood something modern society forgets. A person who controls their breath controls their energy. A person who controls their energy controls their life. 3. Lifestyle. Lifestyle is the rhythm of your day, when you wake, how you move, the rituals you follow, the rest you allow. You don't need to live like a monk to benefit from structure. Even simple consistency improves your energy dramatically. Wake at a similar time each day. Eat at times that give your digestion rhythm. Sleep early enough that your body can recover. Move daily in a way that awakens the body. If diet is fuel and breath is the engine, lifestyle is the alignment of the entire vehicle. Here's the truth. A strong diet, proper breathing, and stable lifestyle support your daily energy. They let you function efficiently without draining your essence. But when these 3 pillars collapse, when you eat poorly, breathe poorly, sleep poorly, you still survive. Somehow your body keeps you alive, but the cost is high. The energy you lack must come from somewhere. The body withdraws it from your essence. the deep reservoir that should remain untouched. Essence is like your life savings. Daily energy is like your checking account. If you manage your daily energy well, your life savings stay intact. But if you constantly overdraft because your daily habits are poor, the bank starts taking from your main account. That account is not supposed to be spent casually. When it empties, life ends. It's that simple. This is why ancient masters warned. Guard your essence by guarding your habits. These teachings were not mystical, they were practical. They understood the body intimately. They observed how lifestyle directly shaped lifespan. No good food, no good breath, no good lifestyle. Life becomes shorter. Good food, good breath, good lifestyle. Life becomes fuller. This is the foundation. Everything else builds on top of it. When body and mind align, something extraordinary happens. You regain access to your natural vitality. You don't need stimulants. You don't need constant external motivation. You don't need to force yourself. Energy flows naturally. Motivation rises on its own. Clarity appears effortlessly. Alignment is not a luxury. It is your original state. The practices we explore here on Master from Within are simply methods to help you return to that state, not create it, but reveal it. You already carry the seed of presence. You already carry the potential for discipline. You already carry the ability to stay centered. But these abilities are buried under layers of distraction, worry, impulse, and habit. The practices remove those layers, not by adding more complexity to your life, but by simplifying it, not by giving you more to chase, but by teaching you to see what's already here. Discipline is not meant to imprison you. It is meant to free you from the prison you didn't know you built. Presence, discipline, and structure are not about restricting your life. They are about unlocking your deepest potential. Many people misunderstand discipline. They think of it as restriction, limitation, or some kind of punishment. They imagine discipline as cold, strict, suffocating. But that's because they see it only from the outside. They see the rules but not the results. They see the sacrifice but not the freedom on the other side. Real discipline does not limit your life. It expands it. It doesn't trap you, it releases you. Let's take a simple example. You're hungry at 2:00, but your next meal, according to your routine, is at 6:00. The mind starts to complain. I need something now, just a small snack, just something to get me through. The mind is clever. It will try to convince you that breaking the rule is harmless. But what happens when you wait? What happens when you say, I hear you, mind, but I choose to wait? You meet a deeper part of yourself. A part that is calm. A part that is not desperate. A part that is not pushed around by impulses. A part that is stronger than every craving. This is the beginning of true inner freedom. What most people call freedom is really just indulgence. They follow their impulses without ever questioning them. They eat when they want, sleep when they want, spend when they want, abandon responsibilities when they want, chase pleasure when they want. But that's not freedom. That's slavery, slavery to the mind's habits. True freedom is the ability to say no, the ability to choose, the ability to direct your own behavior instead of being controlled by internal noise. Discipline is the bridge between who you are now and who you can become. And the more you practice it, whether in eating, sleeping, training, speaking, or acting, the more you develop trust in yourself. Trust that you can rely on your own decisions. Trust that you can hold your own line. Trust that you can resist temptations that cause chaos. Temptation is not always loud. It doesn't always look dangerous. Often it whispers softly. It appears friendly. It appears harmless. It says, don't worry, nobody will know. It convinces you that small compromises are okay, that small betrayals are not real betrayals, that little shortcuts don't matter. but everything has consequences. Imagine walking through the world and noticing attractive people everywhere. The mind may say, it's harmless to admire, it's harmless to flirt, it's harmless to play a little. And in a free world, technically, you can do whatever you want. But ask yourself, does this kind of freedom lead to suffering? Does it damage your inner peace? Does it hurt someone you care about? Does it create chaos around you? A person who is easily seduced by temptation is not free. He is controlled by his desires. Real freedom means you can look at temptation and say, I see you, you don't control me. Real freedom means you choose what creates harmony, not what creates pain. Real freedom means honoring paths that lead to peace, not confusion. If you have a partner, honor that commitment. Not because society says so, not because you fear judgment, but because you choose not to cause unnecessary suffering. You choose clarity. You choose integrity. You choose peace. Freedom does not mean doing whatever you want. Freedom means having the strength not to do what destroys you. This is the type of freedom taught in ancient traditions, including the practices I learned and now share here on Master from Within. Not freedom without responsibility, but freedom through responsibility. There's another misconception about freedom, the idea that your way of living is the superior way, and you must convince others to adopt it. Some people walk through life believing they have discovered the right path, and anyone who disagrees is wrong or misguided. But this is not freedom. This is arrogance disguised as wisdom. If someone prefers a different philosophy, a different practice, a different rhythm of life, that's their choice, their life, their journey. You don't need to convert them. You don't need to demonstrate that your way is better. True freedom includes the freedom to let others live differently, without feeling threatened. The world becomes more peaceful when we stop forcing our lifestyles on one another. You live as you choose. I live as I choose. If our paths align, we can share. If they don't, we can respect from a distance. Here on Master from Within, I never claim that my understanding is universal truth. I simply share what has worked for me, what has shaped my life, what has brought me clarity, discipline, structure, and joy. These are observations, not commandments, tools, not rules. If something I say helps you, I'm grateful. If it doesn't, no problem. Take what serves you and leave the rest. This is freedom. This is respect. This is maturity. One of the biggest drains on your energy is not physical work, not sleepless nights, not external stress, but internal noise. Your mind is powerful, but power without direction becomes chaos. Power without purpose becomes stress. Power without awareness becomes suffering. When people reach the end of the day and feel heavy, slow, or empty, the cause is rarely the body, it's the mind. A mind that refuses to rest steals your sleep. A mind that clings to the past steals your joy. A mind that worries about the future steals your peace. When your mind becomes your master, it tortures you. When you become the master of your mind, it liberates you. Being present is not about shutting off the mind. It's about not drowning in it. Thoughts will come, memories will surface, plans will appear. This is normal. The mind is simply doing what the mind does. The problem begins when you believe you are the mind, when you identify with every thought it produces, when you follow every story it tells. Instead, learn to watch the mind. See the thoughts without being pulled into them. Observe the patterns without obeying them. This is the essence of inner training. This is the core of every discipline taught for thousands of years. And this same skill, the ability to be present, translates to your sleep, your energy, your relationships, your work, and your entire life. We live in a world that glorifies multitasking. People believe that doing 5 things at once makes them efficient. But multitasking is not efficiency, it is fragmentation. When your attention is scattered across many tasks, you complete none with full presence. So the ancient principle of doing one thing at a time remains one of the most powerful practices you can adopt in the modern world. When you sleep, sleep. Not think. Not plan. Not replay conversations. When you eat, eat. Not scroll. Not argue. Not work. When you train, train. Not daydream. Not compare. Not check your messages. When you talk, talk. Listen fully. Speak clearly. Be there. People underestimate how much energy they lose through mental fragmentation. But when you start practicing presence in each activity, you suddenly feel a surge of clarity and strength you didn't know was missing. Presence simplifies your life. Presence sharpens your mind. Presence restores your energy. This is why presence is not spiritual fantasy. It is a physiological necessity for a healthy life. Chapter 11. Guarding your energy like a precious resource. Your energy is not infinite. Your time is not infinite. Your attention is not infinite. Yet many people waste these resources unconsciously, giving them to distractions, toxic habits, unnecessary drama, and mental noise. When your energy leaks, everything becomes harder. Simple tasks feel overwhelming. Small problems feel enormous. Daily responsibilities feel like burdens. But when you learn to guard your energy, when you eat well, breathe well, rest well, and think well, your entire life becomes lighter. You feel capable. You feel stable. You feel grounded. A stable energy system is the foundation upon which you build every other part of your life. This is why ancient traditions considered energy management a sacred duty, not just for monks, not just for warriors, for everyone, because energy determines your experience of life. A calm mind with high energy sees opportunities. A noisy mind with low energy sees problems. The difference is not in the world, it's in the inner state of the observer. The most important lesson I've learned is simple yet profound. Presence is everything. When you are fully present, you are not trapped in the past or anxious about the future. You are fully here, aware, alive, and capable. Presence is the lens through which all other practices, discipline, breath, diet, and lifestyle become effective. Without presence, even the best habits crumble. With presence, even simple actions radiate power. The mind will always chatter. Thoughts will always appear. But the difference is in your relationship with them. Instead of being swept away by the mind, you watch it, acknowledge it, and let it flow. This subtle shift from identification to observation is the cornerstone of a meaningful life. Discipline is often mistaken for restriction, but in reality, it is the gateway to true freedom. Following a structure, whether in eating, training, or resting, teaches you to resist impulses, to manage energy, and to honor your deeper needs. Real freedom is not doing whatever you want in the moment. True freedom is the ability to say no to distraction, indulgence, and chaos, and to say yes to what serves your body, mind, and spirit. The freedom that comes from discipline is a quiet, powerful force. It does not demand, it allows. It does not punish, it liberates. It gives you control over yourself in a world where the mind constantly tries to control you. Your energy is your most precious resource. Modern life drains it through distraction, poor habits, and overstimulation. Ancient traditions understood that energy, once lost, cannot easily be recovered. This is why diet, breath, rest, and lifestyle are sacred. When you care for these pillars, you protect your essence, the deep well of vitality that fuels creativity, clarity, and resilience. Energy is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, and spiritual. Guard it, nourish it, align it. When energy flows freely, life becomes effortless, choices become clear, and every moment becomes vibrant. At the heart of all this is simple. You already have everything you need. The practices, the structure, the awareness, they are not about adding something to your life. They are about revealing what is already within you. You are already present. You are already complete. The mind may tell you otherwise, but discipline, presence, and alignment allow you to see the truth. Walk your path consciously. Eat, sleep, move, and breathe with awareness. Train your body, train your mind. Respect others, freedom while cultivating your own. Protect your energy, honor your essence, and let the noise of the world fade into the background. This is not a philosophy. This is life. This is freedom. This is master from within.